Welcome to Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation possible. You will get to hear from CSIA system integrators and industry partners to get a better understanding of how they help their clients solve process challenges and how they've earned success in their careers. Along the way, we will touch on system integration best practices, technology, trends, and challenges. Whether you are a manufacturer, end user, supplier, or system integrator, you will enjoy the insights these industry professionals bring to this podcast. Let's get started. Hi, my name is Lisa Richter, the host of Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation and processing possible. In today's episode, we're talking industrial automation with Pat Miller, who is the owner and chair of Engineered Energy Solutions, a company that specializes in building management and transportation control systems. In addition, he is a founding member and tireless supporter of CSIA. He attended Canisius College and University of Detroit, where he received his BS in mechanical engineering. He has authored several blog articles on the EES website and is currently interested in sustainability and how EES has helped other companies reduce carbon emissions. Pat, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
Let's start at the beginning. Why did you choose a career in control system integration?
Well, I pretty much stumbled into it. I graduated from college, and first job I had was working with Pratt & Whitney in Florida to help us get to the moon. And because of my efforts, we probably got there 1/8 of a second faster than I'd never been there. That was a huge company. And then I was a lieutenant in the Army for 2 years in Oklahoma. And I kept the communists out of Oklahoma for 2 years. And after that, I decided to become a sales engineer for a train company out of La Crosse, Wisconsin. And went to there for 6 months training, and then was assigned to New Jersey as a sales engineer. So as part of this, I was pretty much involved in the HVAC world, and it was 100% commission selling. So you were unemployed every morning when you got up. And as part of that, I became very interested in energy. I had done a thesis in order to get out of the University of Detroit on natural energy, solar and wind. And my battery was a reservoir where we would pump water from the wind or the solar when the wind was blowing and the sun was shining. And then when that didn't happen, we would run the water down the hill and run a turbine and continue making the power with water power. So I was very interested in energy. In those days, most of the equipment was running full bore and not being very energy efficient. And we stood in gas lines, and energy became very important. And as part of that, I had gotten my PE. So I was the only professional engineer in our group. And we decided to form an energy department. And from that grew out Engineered Energy. And at one point, I was a full partner in that, major partner. And then I ended up buying out the other people, and it was my baby. So I think that's where it came from.
So let's talk a little bit more about the history of EES and how it kind of evolved over the years. Like, where did you start? How did you grow it? How big did you get it? Give us a little bit of that detail.
Well, it was a small operation. I was a sales engineer, as I told you before. And when we formed the company, it was just myself. And we were taking chill water plants and looking at running the chillers more efficiently. And I was still selling train equipment. So I wasn't getting paid for it. And for 3 or 4 years, it struggled along. And we finally got to maybe, I think, $300,000 or $400,000 in sales. And at that point, my agreement was we would form a separate company. I always wanted to be the owner of my own company. I think since the time I was a paper boy, when I was 11 years old. So I think I was an entrepreneur throughout my career, and this just was the culmination of, okay, now you've got enough money to do this. And so we put together and started the company. And, it just grew naturally from there. Our clients were Fortune 500 clients in the metropolitan New York area. So there's a lot of pharmaceuticals. And of course, we had New York City, and we hooked onto a number of anchor clients. And we would do one project for them and then would go to another project for them. So they were multi-use or multi-building clients. Big time guys. We were smart. We started off with single board computers, and then we discovered there was such a thing as a PLC. And not only could we optimize the chillers and the pumps and the towers, with the PLC we could turn them on and off. And it's amazing how much energy you can save if you can turn something off. Doesn't take a lot of power when they're off. That became what we called Procos, which was Programmable Chiller Optimization System. So our product was Procos. And it grew, and we went from 2 or 3 people to as many as 20 during this growth time. Exciting. I had some brilliant people that were certainly more technical, electronic software writers. If you know, PLC is all ladder diagram logic. Pretty simple if you know how to read a wiring diagram, you know how to write the code. So you didn't have to be Cobalt or one of these super code guys. And it just gravitated to that, and pretty much Allen Bradley, but we certainly used Siemens and GE. Pretty much who the client wanted. A lot of these clients at that time had what they called central engineering departments. And some brilliant finance guy said, what are we hiring these guys for? We could outsource it. So all of these central engineering departments throughout the country pretty much let go of their engineering staff and then started outsourcing other people to do it, because they didn't have to pay them the pension and they didn't have to pay them overtime, and all the other stuff was on us. So the time was right for system integrators to grow and develop, and that's pretty much where we came in.
So can you quantify where the business is today, whether that's in an annual revenue or the number of staff that you have currently?
Well, I think everybody wants recurring revenue. And that makes you more valuable. So I think we are driven towards taking care of existing clients. Problem is the sale of what we do is what I call a complex sale. And it takes a number of months and years to convince the client that what we do helps him. Not only helps him, but puts some money in his pocket. He has an asset in his basement that some CEOs and CFOs don't even know they have a chill water plant or a boiler plant in their office. Once they recognize that and know that they can save money, and this, so they're paying a couple $1 million to run this operation, and we could save them 10 to 50% of what they're spending, and that just goes to their bottom line. So once you get their attention and they say, oh my gosh, and you do that without sacrificing comfort, humidity, building pressure, then it becomes interesting. And once you have them buying into what you're doing, then the next sale is real simple. Oh, you've done it here. Why don't you do it there? So it grows. The transportation piece we really stumbled into because there was a bid that we bid on to automate the Queens Midtown Tunnel and the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel for Triborough Bridge and Tunnel Authority. And believe it or not, we were probably the low bidder. And it was like I think my memory was like a $2,900,000 3-year job. And we did that job and we're successful. And we've been there ever since. The service contracts and next tunnel and next renovation, whatever. So some of this, if you stay around long enough, you get lucky. There are clients we've had who have actually closed their facilities and have sold the buildings to someone else. And then we find ourselves 10 years later going back into the same building. And because we know everything that's going on there, redoing it again. So part of it is longevity, hanging around long enough. And once you see how they're operating, you can see, oh my gosh, there's a tremendous potential to not only save energy, but the new people that are involved are worrying about the planet. So when you save energy, you're also saving the planet by having less carbon dioxide. So now we're using as a marketing tool that we help save the planet. Not only do we save you dollars and keep things running better, but we're gonna keep the planet alive, and that comes to a welcome ear to the millennials and the new people. So we have to change along with everybody else.
Luke Stephenson, business manager for enterprise automation, says his company's partnership with Schneider Electric has opened doors into companies and projects that would have been out of reach for a typical system integrator. In addition to helping SIs reach new customers, the Schneider Electric Alliance program gets you access to cutting-edge knowledge and education. Mr. Stephenson puts it this way. The pace of innovation within industrial automation is increasing each year, making close partnership with the manufacturer key in serving the broad range of client needs and requests. Partnership with Schneider Electric has allowed us to stay ahead of that curve and provide world-class service to our clients who see the value in Schneider's broad offering of products and solutions. I would strongly recommend system integrators build a solid partnership with Schneider Electric as they look to stand out amongst their competitors. To find out more about how Schneider Electric helps you grow your company and increase your revenue, start building your relationship with Schneider Electric in the SI Alliance program by visiting se.com/US/SI-Alliance. So you mentioned Alan Bradley. What other suppliers do you work with?
Well, we've done a lot of work with Siemens. We did a plant in Dubai, which was all General Electric. ABB, which is Asahi Brown Boveri, they have a product called Cylon, and we use that for the terminal units, which by terminal, I mean when you're close to whether the thermostat's going to work in your office or not. So there, as you push the water or the air, you have to be able to put more or less in each zone or room. And so we go from the plant to the actual delivery of the air or the water, hot water or the cold water to heat and cool it, HVAC type of thing. So we call it a building management system. And so we go from one end to the other. And then the other part of the PLC piece is you've got to be able to let the operators know what's going on. And that's what's called the front end. I call it the pretty pictures because it's your screen on your computer that says this is running right, this isn't running right, this is going too fast, this is going too slow. Here's the temperature in this room. Here's this. When they get a complaint, they can dial up. And the whole type of control used to be proportional only when it was all pneumatic. And now with electronics, it's what we call PID, and that's proportional, integral, and derivative. So PID control, you can land things right on the runway, so you're not overshooting. And once you can do that, you take advantage of weather. Take advantage of shading, take advantage of all kinds of things that can help you save energy. And it's the sophistication in the software on how you look at the different inputs is very important. And the other piece of that equation is the instrumentation that you use. So we use industrial quality, ISA, Instrument Society of America, sensors. They're more expensive, but they're more reliable, more repeatable. So you got to spend some good bucks to, garbage in, garbage out. So you need to make sure that what you're bringing in does the job. So it's a complete answer for the building client, the owner. We like to sell to the owner because he's writing the check to the power company or to the gas company. But that's not hard. It's very hard to get to him. And that's our whole marketing effort, is to get to the client.
What are some other challenges that your clients are facing right now?
The whole COVID thing is all new, and everybody's trying to figure out how to cope with this. And you can see, like in Manhattan, a lot of these empty buildings. And I'm not sure where all of this is going. We were about to purchase our own building. We had rented for 40 years. And I said, that's about time we bought a building and had paid our own rent to ourselves. During that time, COVID hit, and we decided that we're going to go 100% virtual. So that's what we have done. We are no longer in a building. We all have all of our hardware and computers at our homes. We've outfitted all of our employees with that. We have meetings weekly. We have a business meeting with Zoom once a month, and we talk to each other. And we've gone pretty much paperless. So there's lots of challenges going on. I think we've seen some hiccups with that, but it's working. I'm pretty excited about the fact that everybody could stay home. Most of our employees are at either the job or need to go to the job. So we have some issues with what tools and where the tools are and those type of thing. And when we're ordering equipment, where does the equipment end up? But, we're working our way through this. How
many employees do you have?
I have 10. So we're small.
What is unique about how you approach a project?
I think the uniqueness is we go very slow. And when it's pretty much retrofit. So we're not doing new construction. So we have a building that has an operating system. And as we go in and try to optimize and automate that equipment, we need to keep it running. So it's piecemeal. We do one little piece at a time. And so you don't shut everything down one day and then they're out of business for 3 months. We need to keep the operation going without them even knowing that we're there. So I'd say that's very unique. So it's not a start from scratch. Although we have done a number of projects after we have proved our value to the client, then they say, "Oh, we have a new building going on, and we want you guys to be the control systems integrator." And then we do work in that direction. But in Maine, it is what I call keep the system going and improve it piece by piece.
So you talked a little bit earlier about how you've managed to work with some clients for a really long time. But if you had to quantify it more succinctly, how much of your business is repeat and why do you think they return?
Most of our business is repeat. I think that is because the job that we have done and the confidence that we have built, nobody wants to start over with somebody new. So if you're comfortable with the vendor that you have, you pretty much stay with them unless something happens that you're unhappy with them. I think we take great pains to make sure that our client wins. Even when we lose, we like to make sure the client wins. And we've been into a number of places where, we've lasted longer than the client has. That's absolutely true.
So you talked about going remote, completely remote, 100% remote. Would you say that's the smartest decision your company's made recently, or is there something else?
I'm not sure it wasn't forced on us. Sometimes we react rather than proact. So I'm not sure it wasn't reactive, but I think we were smart enough to see it coming and took advantage of it. I have been offshore from New Jersey for some time. So the fact that I was remote wasn't huge because I'm not running the day-to-day operation of the company. For our president, it was new for him. And I think he's adapted to it well. And most of our people are excited about it because they get to spend more time at home. And I think it's cost-wise, I think it's probably helping our bottom line also.
So you mentioned New Jersey. That's where the company is theoretically located, headquartered, even though it's now everybody's remote, right?
Yes.
What advice would you give a prospective client researching system integrators?
If I were the owner, I would certainly look to someone who has done what I'm looking for before. I don't want to be his trial balloon. Thank God we had some people use us to begin with, and that helps, because it's very hard to get someone to give you an order and you've never done it before. So I would certainly look to an integrator that had done something like what I was looking for, as to start with. And then, and I use this in my approach also, is I say to them, we've done this before to a client similar to you, and you need to talk to him or to her. And would you like to go visit a facility that we've already done this to? And hopefully they say yes. Call my client up and say, I'm bringing Charlie over next week, and would you please show him your plant and show him what we've done for you? Pretty much they'll say yes. We take them there and we get the hell out of the way. And we let our existing client sell our new client. And I think that, to me, is proofs in the pudding, and they become friends also. And that really helps us to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the crowd. We're in a niche business. We're not in not too many people do what we do with PLCs or with the ABB for the entire plant. So we're a turnkey type control systems integrator. We take care of it for years, and we look at these buildings daily, and we get alarms on their equipment before they do, or before they know they have a problem. And then there's also the predictive maintenance part of this, where you can tell what equipment is wearing down or what is deteriorating and it needs to be replaced or repaired or cleaned or whatever. So there's a whole predictive thing that's really coming along in the AI category that we're developing and working for that to make sure that we're on top of their equipment.
Well, we're doing it. We're rolling out all the new value CSIA has for system integrators and vendor partners this year. If you haven't heard, we've completely revamped our content delivery strategy for 2021 to include weekly virtual events that will continue the CSIA tradition of knowledge sharing, community building, and networking, but also capitalize on the opportunities and innovation digital delivery offers. The best part is, this online strategy means anyone from your company, from the newbies to the seasoned pros, will have access to education and content that would have normally been out of reach. Don't worry, we still have all the other goodies that come with CSIA membership, including the highly valued best practices, professional services discounts, and benchmarking, training, and a completely revamped marketing toolbox. All this with no dues increase over 2020. To learn more, visit www.controlsys.org/join-2021. Let's do this. What kinds of trends and challenges are you seeing in industrial automation right now?
Certainly there's the COVID thing, but the biggest issue that I see is and CSIA is really helping on this, is all this digital transformation thing that's happening. The world's turning into big data, and who's going to do this? They have the Internet of Things, all of these indications that you know more now than you ever did before. And to find out what is really driving your productivity, what is driving your savings, there's a lot of hidden things that some people know by walking into a plant. But the more information you get, the better you are. But the smart thing is, which one is actually making a difference? And I think that's going to change a lot of who we are, what we're doing in the future. So big data, everybody's saying big data is, they're thinking of Twitter and all this other stuff, Facebook. I'm thinking about all of the information that we now can be getting from the environment or the temperature or the whatever. And wow, if we only knew this before, we could have done that and prevented that or helped this. And they're talking about net zero in buildings and in the next 50 years. And I'm not sure we can't get there, but it takes big data to find out what really are the keys and what we need to concentrate on, because you can spend a lot of money putting new windows in and have a leak, and you just, oh my God, great idea, but it didn't help, So you need to know. The more you know, the better you are, just like everything else.
What makes EES optimistic about the future of the automation control systems industry?
I'm optimistic because I think when I talk to high school kids and college kids, I tell them that be an engineer. Engineers change the world. Doctors and lawyers take care of problems and all the other stuff, but we actually change the world. The engineering community, as far as I'm concerned, really has changed who we are in the last 50 years. And you talk about the space race and all the other stuff. I've got a friend of mine, his son is developing booster rockets for the Mars ship that's going to move the plane 2 foot per second in Mars. And I'm saying, my gosh, I would have never thought of even such a thing, when I was. So the whole engineering community is really going to change the world. And I think save the world, quite honestly. So I'm very excited about, and certainly controls system integrators are going to be part of that. And we get to change how things are made and make them better, more profitable, get rid of the waste. We say we stop the waste is one of our bylines, is what we do. And I think that's true. And I've always been an energy guy. My thesis that I referred to earlier was I said we were going to run out of oil. I think in my thesis, which was 1964, is we're going to run out of oil in 1990. And we better get smart about what we're doing. Well, here we are now with more oil than we ever thought we'd ever have, right? And that's 30 years later. So things change. But, we're going in the right direction.
So you were a founding member of CSIA. Talk to us a little bit about why. Why did you start the organization?
Again, that was an accident, which I hope happened or was waiting to happen. But Charlie Bergman, who's our driving force, somehow found us. I'm not sure how he found us all, but he did a newsletter, which was called Technical Marketing. We would only talk on the phone. And he had a newsletter which cost, I don't know, $50 a year, $100 a year or something. And in order to be a member of that, you had to call in your proposals, your orders, etc. And he would draw a chart and say, you had a secret number, so nobody knew who each of us were, but he put those all together, and it was a statistics program. And then he would write some guidelines on how to get an order or how to talk to a client. And so all this went on for a couple of years, and we all became friendly with phone calls or chat one-on-one with all of us. And so he said to me at one point, we got about 30 or 40 guys. I think we ought to get together. And I said, Charlie, I think that's a great idea. He says, well, I'm down here in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'll send you a list and you call half of them and I'll call the other half. And let's see if we can have a weekend in North Carolina. So we did. And 26 of us showed up in 1993. What we found out at that point, because everybody thought they were a Lone Ranger, thought they were the only game in town and had all their own problems. And sitting at the bars and the conference that Charlie ran, we all found out that, oh my God, we've got the same problems or same opportunities. And from that CSIA grew out of that. And I was the old guy. I was the guy with the gray hair. So I was the one they elected to be the head honcho, but I wasn't because of my brilliance. It was because of my age, I think. So we're very lucky that he put us all together. There were some great founding people that really put this organization together. And it has grown through the years. I have 6 children. This is my number 7th. So I call CSIA my baby. And that's why I've still been involved forever, because it's very hard for me to let go and to keep it what it was, because I think it's important that initial group and what we found from each other and how we helped each other is why this is a unique trade organization. It's not run by vendors; it's run by integrators. Buy-in for, we say, and that's our goal, is to keep that trade association working for each of us.
Yeah, and to put that perspective, you grew from the 26, 30 guys into now we've got over 500 members. So that's quite an accomplishment for the 20 years or 25 years or however many it is. It's kind of an amazing thing. And I agree with you. The DNA of collaboration is so unique. I've worked with so many different associations throughout my career, and I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. So congratulations. You have a lot to be proud of.
Well, I'm very proud of it, obviously, but it sure as heck isn't me. It's all of us. Everybody pulling in the boat. Everyone's got an oar, and that's what we have to make sure is that each one of us grabs an oar and pulls on it, because it doesn't take much for it to fall apart. I hope that it will. Obviously, it's international, so I'm very excited about it being international. Luigi's our head guy now, and he's from Italy. I mean, that really says a lot. It's just not a U.S. deal. It's an international deal, and we all contribute to each other. So I'm very excited that it's going, and especially during this time when we're not having our conferences, the conferences are great because we get together. It's just not the seminars and what we learn. It's the fact that we interact with each other, and it's a social deal as well as a learning environment.
With so many people working from home, canceling in-person meetings and events, and spending more and more time online, it's more important than ever that your digital presence is top-notch and that you find creative ways to maximize your marketing resources and get in front of your customers. The Industrial Automation Exchange and the Talking Industrial Automation podcast are the perfect places to start. The Exchange offers upgrades, packages, and display opportunities to ensure your brand is top of mind during your customers' complicated, research-based buying journey. The Talking Industrial Automation podcast can also help, because now you can place your 60-second spot into the podcast. It's super easy and a unique way to reach new audiences. To learn more about the packages and advertising opportunities or how to become a podcast sponsor, contact me, Lisa Richter, at industrydir@controlsys.org. Let's face it, it's a digital world out there, and you need to make sure your company doesn't get left behind. Let the Exchange and podcast go to work for you. Why should a prospective client hire a CSIA member?
Probably is up to the client, but what we do is we end credibility to that individual integrator. And the fact that he knows that we are associated with other integrators and with an association that, there's certification for sure. But I think above and beyond the certification, I think the stamp of approval from CSIA helps to say you're just not the dog and pony show or a garage shop. So I think that helps the client to get some confidence in who you are and what you do. But again, it's only as good as the integrator is himself and what kind of product he puts up. I say you're as good as your last job. I'm also I'm owner of a restaurant, and I always say you're as good as your last meal. You have a bad meal. People don't like bad meals. So your chef has to be on top of this game every plate that's served.
What kind of a restaurant do you have?
I had a hotel up here in upstate New York. I don't have it anymore. I closed it. But it was an old bar, restaurant, hotel, and liquor store. And my wife ran it, and or my daughter first, and then my wife. I got drunk one night and bought a hotel,
Who hasn't, right? It's happened to everybody.
Tell everybody that. It's not true. I bought it for somebody else, and they reneged on it. So I was stuck with a hotel and had no experience in the hotel business at all. But what I learned, and it's pretty interesting what you learn from doing something else. Friday night was our big fish fry night, and we got slammed. Probably 100 people came through the door, and we had enough fish to feed 50 maybe. What I learned from that experience and other ones was you need to be prepared. And I took that preparation from a restaurant and used that in not that I wasn't prepared in my business, but all of our people now are super prepared when they go on the job. And preparation is everything. And you find that in life. If you're prepared, going through the real deal is real simple. Because all you're doing is going through the motions because you know what's coming and you know what might happen and the pluses and the minuses and what if this happens, what do you do, and that type of thing. Preparation is everything. And I learned that from the restaurant business more so than I think I knew it from my education, but certainly I was more prepared than I ever was before after that restaurant experience.
All right. So if you couldn't work in a restaurant or in the system integrator community, what career would you choose instead?
I always wanted to be a baseball player. So I would have loved to have been a major league baseball player, but I wasn't good enough. and I was an all-star, but pretty interesting. I went and played in an all-star game when I was probably 18 or 19 against a guy that ended up pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And when I got up to bat, I couldn't see the ball. I could just hear the ball hit the glove with the catcher. And he's probably throwing 100 miles an hour. I don't know how fast he was throwing. I got scared to death.
Yeah.
So that was the end of my baseball career. As far as I said, yeah, I'm good, but I'm not that good. I got it early. I didn't have to go through all the pain.
What's the best advice you could give your younger self just getting started?
I grew up, I won't say poor, but I certainly didn't have a lot of money, or my family didn't have a lot of money. So I pretty much took care of myself from the time I was 12 with paper routes and mowing lawns and all the other stuff. And when it came time to go to college, I pretty much put myself through college with college loans. And I was a co-op. The University of Detroit was a co-op school. So I got to work and go to school. It took an extra year. So I was money driven. And I probably still am money driven. So that success to me was money, and it probably still is. But it's success and money. I think if you want to be an integrator, I think entrepreneurial is certainly who you've got to be. You got to want it, and you also have to dedicate yourself to the job. It's not an 8 to 5 job. It's not a Monday through Friday job. It's 24/7 for, I think I spent 5 or 10 years trying to make this happen. And it also takes your family to understand what's going on, because it's not an easy life because you're in all different phases of the business, not only technically, but financially. I was very smart or lucky, I'm not sure which, to have a great accountant and a great lawyer. And those two professionals helped me make some great decisions that I wouldn't have made as smart as I did. And there's lots of points where I've gone wrong. I've certainly done some stupid stuff. The one thing I would say is that most of us grew out of partnerships, or we were hooked up with somebody else. And if I had to do it over again, and I've talked to a number of my CSIA buddies, you need to have 51% from day one. You can't have equal. It doesn't work. And it means you've got to put more money in than the other guy when you start, because that's how it's divided. Two people can't run the same ship. So you need to be that guy. And if you're not that guy, you need to let the other guy be that guy. But you can't have two captains. You have to be one captain. So that's my advice.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Talking Industrial Automation. If you're interested in learning more about Pat Miller or Engineered Energy Solutions, you can find them on the Industrial Automation Exchange at www.csiaexchange.com. Thanks for listening, and thank you, Pat, for joining me today.
My pleasure. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Lisa.
If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also help others find us by leaving a 5-star review and sharing your favorite episodes with colleagues. Thanks for listening to the Talking Industrial Automation podcast. Thanks also to bensound.com and Wistia for the music bumpers. Until next time.